Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. Here's a quick news update. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave for the United States on June 25th, a two-day visit to include bilateral talks with Donald Trump on terrorism, defense and H-1B visas. Indefinite Bandh enters second day in Darjeeling. Several places across North Bengal turn violent as protesters enforce shutdown in many government offices. British Prime Minister Theresa May meets Democratic Unionist party leaders to save her government. Critics decry her impending deal, say it will destabilize the political balance in Northern Ireland. At least 53 people killed in a series of landslides triggered by torrential rains in Bangladesh. Many of the victims reported to be tribals living in makeshift structures along the hills. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for the US later this month. It will be his fifth visit to the country since 2014. The two-day visit will include bilateral talks with Donald Trump on a range of issues including terrorism, defense and H-1B visas.
In their first action, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold talks with President Donald Trump later this month in the United States. The two-day visit, scheduled for June 25th and 26th, comes months after Donald Trump invited the Prime Minister over telephone after taking over as US President in January. Trump and Modi are scheduled to hold one-on-one talks on a range of issues including defense, cross-border terrorism, trade and business cooperation.
कि ट्रंप प्रशासन आने के बाद भारत और अमेरिका के संबंधों में किसी तरह की कोई कमी नहीं आई है। वो उसी गति से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं जिस गति से ओबामा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के समय बढ़ रहे थे। यूएस इंडिया का मेजर डिफेंस पार्टनर है और जो बातचीत एनएसए और मैकमास्टर के बीच में हुई है उसके आधार पर मैं ये कह सकती हूँ कि किसी तरह का कोई संकेत यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स की तरफ से ऐसे नहीं आया कि वो इस रिलेशनशिप को डाइल्यूट करना चाहते हैं।
The Prime Minister will also address India's concerns over United States plans to reduce the number of H-1B visas that are mainly used by Indian IT workers.
कि हम कांग्रेस के सांसदों से भी संपर्क में हैं, ट्रंप प्रशासन के संपर्क में भी हैं। अभी जब प्रधानमंत्री वहां जाएंगे तो भी जो मुद्दे वो वहां उठाने वाले हैं उसमें ये एक मुद्दा है। तो अभी तक किसी तरह का कोई परिवर्तन नहीं आया है, लेकिन हम पूरी तरह से सतर्क हैं कि किसी भी तरह से कोई ऐसा संशोधन ना हो जिससे भारतीय हितों को धक्का लगे।
Ahead of the visit, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer said Donald Trump is looking forward to his meeting with Modi to discuss ways to strengthen bilateral ties to advance both countries' common priorities.
President Trump will welcome Indian Prime Minister Modi to the White House on June 26th. He looks forward to discussing the ways to strengthen our ties between the United States and India and advancing our common priorities, fighting terrorism, promoting economic growth and reforms, and expanding security cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region.
Spicer also mentioned that US-India trade has grown sixfold since the year 2000, from $19 billion to $115 billion in 2016, despite the recent hiccups over the H-1B visa issue.
U.S.-India trade has grown sixfold since 2000, from $19 billion to $115 billion in 2016, and the Indian economy is growing at over 7%. U.S. energy and technologies, including natural gas, are helping to build Prime Minister Modi's vision for a new India and creating thousands of U.S. jobs in the process. I think you can expect the two of them to set forth a vision that will expand the U.S.-India partnership in an ambitious and worthy way of both countries' people.
Modi's visit comes in the backdrop of Trump announcing the withdrawal of the US from the Paris climate deal, blaming India and China for it, allegations that were strongly rejected by India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Gorkha Janmukti Morcha supporters poured onto the streets of Darjeeling and nearby places on Tuesday. They are demanding a separate state of Gorkhaland. Over the last 2 days, government offices have been vandalized in Darjeeling, while many tourists have been left stranded by the agitation.
As the indefinite Bandh entered its second day, Darjeeling and several places across North Bengal turned violent, with Gorkhaland supporters pelting stones at the police.
ये तो हमारा बहुत पुरानी मांग है, तो 100% हम लोग सक्सेस करके रहेंगे। तो जी कितना दिन तक चलेगा आपका ये जो प्रोटेस्ट? ये अब जब तक हमारा गोरखालैंड नहीं रहेगा उस टाइम तक हम लोग के प्रोटेस्ट चलते रहेगा। अब तो रोकने वाला नहीं है।
Protesters were stopped by the police from enforcing their shutdown in many government offices. Darjeeling came to a standstill as shops were shut and transport remained off the roads. Some of the schools also remained shut. Security forces and state police flung into action to control the crowd.
लोग खुद देख रहे हैं, ठीक है, अभी कंट्रोल में है।
एक चीज बताइए सर, जो प्रोटेस्ट का लाठी चार्ज जो हुआ, was it unprovoked?
अभी सिचुएशन कंट्रोल में है।
तो बंद कॉल किया गया है, उस हिसाब से सिचुएशन ठीक है। कहीं पर लोग बंद कराने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जिसका जो तैनात बल है वो बिल्कुल सही तरीके से उनका निपटान कर रही है।
Amid the tension, Gorkha Janmukti Morcha chief Bimal Gurung said the centre has assured it will consider their demand for a separate Gorkhaland. He also added that their ally BJP has always been in favour of small states. The centre, however, is closely monitoring the situation in the hill town and has offered complete assistance to the West Bengal government in order to restore normalcy.
I think the issue in the hills is Gorkhas are having an identity crisis, and the West Bengal government, both the left front for 34 years and the TMC party for the last 6 years, are responsible for this identity crisis of the Gorkhas.
Over the last 2 days, government offices have been vandalized in Darjeeling, while many tourists were stranded by the agitation. The Gorkha Janmukti Morcha, which controls the Gorkhaland Territorial Administration, has called a shutdown of all state and GTO offices to press for its demand for a separate state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, 8 people were arrested for attacking Tamil Nadu officials who are legally transporting cows in Rajasthan's Mare district. The incident was reported on Monday after over 250 cow vigilantes attacked the trucks transporting the cattle and attempted to set one truck on fire. One person sustained minor injuries in stored pelting.
High drama on National Highway number 15 on Monday, where scores of alleged cow protectors descended on 5 cattle-carrying trucks in Barmer city of Rajasthan. As they tried to set fire to the vehicles, the assailants overlooked the fact that the cows were being taken to Tamil Nadu under the BJP's National Gokul Mission program. The enterprise is one of the government's attempts to promote native breeding of cows.
हम चंदन लाठी धोलिया से गाय लोड करके आए तमिलनाडु के लिए। सरकारी गायें थी। होटल के सामने कई 5, 4, 10 आदमी खड़े थे। गाड़ी को इशारा करके आगे चलने वाली गाड़ी को रुकवाया। काफ़ी पब्लिक इकट्ठे हो गए थे। फिर कई मारने लगे, कई गाड़ी में तोड़-फोड़ शुरू कर दी, कई बोले आग लगा दो, कई कुछ अलग-अलग।
The Tharparkar breed of cows belong to Pakistan's Sindh province. The trucks were carrying 50 of these cows and nearly 30 calves that the Tamil Nadu government purchased for nearly 25 lakh rupees from Jaisalmer.
जैसे ही मेरे को सूचना मिली, मैं यहाँ आया, लोग वाग तितर-बितर होते पाए, भागते हुए मिले। मेरी गाड़ी को देख करके 10, 20, 50 और भाग गए।
Eyewitnesses said the mob failed to see government stickers on the trucks. They also ignored explanations offered by the Animal Husbandry Department officials that they had permission papers by district officials. The truck drivers say that initially 15 to 20 people stopped them and the crowd kept growing after that. Ironically, the mob was oblivious to the risk of even the cows being burnt alive.
गाय ले जा रहे थे, सुबह गाय थी, थार की गाय थी, गवर्नमेंट की गाय थी, कागज डॉक्यूमेंट सब तैयार थे। सदर थाना के आगे आया, 2 जने आदमी आए गाड़ी को रोका, बोला क्या है गाड़ी में, तो बोला हमारे को, हमने बोला कि गाय है, तो बोला कि गाय रोको, तो हमने रोक मारपीट और की बाद में बोला कि गाड़ी चला लेंगे, हमने बोला चला दो, बाद में कागज तो पूरे देख लो।
The Barmer police filed an FIR against 50 people. 8 have been arrested.
एनिमल हस्बेंड्री डिपार्टमेंट का कुछ स्टाफ था, उनके साथ मारपीट करने की कोशिश की। हमारे जाब्ते ने, पुलिस ने तुरंत पहुंच के वहां पे उन सभी लोगों को सबसे पहले रेस्क्यू किया। मौके पे करीबन 200 250 के करीब भीड़ इकट्ठी हो गई थी, जिन्होंने गाड़ी के शीशे वगैरह भी तोड़े और जिसको हल्का बल प्रयोग करके उनको तितर-बितर किया गया।
The cows were later shifted to a shelter home in Mare city till the Tamil Nadu officials arrange a new means of transportation. 7 police officials were removed for arriving late despite the incident deteriorating into an uncontrollable situation on the national highway. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's take a look now at some other developments from across the country and nationwide. The DMK on Tuesday made a special mention in the Madras High Court on reports of alleged payments to some ruling AIADMK MLAs. This comes against the backdrop of the State Assembly session commencing from Wednesday. According to reports, AIADMK MLAs belonging to rival factions were allegedly paid crores of rupees before the trust vote of the K. Palaniswamy government in February. The centre is likely to open 800 passport service centres in head post offices across the country. The move aims to increase people's access to the facility, especially in remote areas. The step was initiated through a joint effort by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Department of Posts to deliver passport-related services to people. The CBSE released the OMR answer sheet images of NEET 2017 candidates who appeared for the exam can now check their answer sheets online. The board will release answer keys on June 15th. The move comes after the Supreme Court ordered CBSE to declare the NEET results. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
What we are witnessing in Darjeeling, is it a political battle of supremacy?
This is not about any ego. This is about bringing peace and development.
Why is there a general perception which has been built on Mamata Banerjee government that she tries to appease the minority?
She tries to appease the people of Bengal. If anyone has a problem with that, then they can take a walk.
A strange kind of a consolidation, a Hindu consolidation versus the minority consolidation. Does that worry TMC?
Mamata De's face, what you see is what you get. I'm afraid the BJP, they are double-faced.
Watch To The Point with Parliamentary Party Leader of Trinamool Congress, Derek O'Brien, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Unakoti, the famous Shaiva pilgrimage spot in Tripura, dates back to the 8th and 9th century. The name means one less than a crore. It owes its origin to an interesting legend that says Lord Shiva, who was on his way to Kashi, stopped here for a night halt along with gods and goddesses. Together, their number totaled 1 crore. At sunrise the next day, Lord Shiva was incensed to find all the gods and goddesses still asleep. Cursing them to become stone images, he left alone for Kashi. Unakoti, apart from its rock-cut carvings, has an imposing Shiva head called the Unakotishwara Kal Bhairav. Other eye-catching works include 3 enormous images of Nandi bull that are half buried in the ground and a gigantic Ganesh. To this day, the logistics of these huge carvings remain a mystery.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, British Prime Minister Theresa May is meeting with Democratic Unionist party leaders in a bid to save her premiership amid pressure to soften her approach to Brexit. May will try and strike a deal with the DUP, helping them stay in government. The DUP has 10 MPs, which will give the Conservatives the numbers needed to form the government. But a deal with the DUP also raises the risk of destabilising political balance in Northern Ireland, increasing the influence of pro-British Unionists over the Irish Catholic nationalists who want to join a united Ireland. Earlier, Theresa May met her cabinet ministers ahead of talks with the DUP. May's election gamble pushed her on the back foot, allowing critics to demand that she take a more consensual approach to Brexit. Well, a woman police officer was shot in the head and several others were injured when an unidentified assailant opened fire at a train station in German city of Munich on Tuesday. The alleged attacker was arrested by police. Shooting took place when police intervened in the scuffle at the station. Police denied any political or religious motive behind the shooting. A major police operation is underway in the streets surrounding the station, while rail services have been suspended. A news channel reported that the attacker is a 37-year-old German citizen and a Munich resident.
Es ist tatsächlich so, dass wir hier einen männlichen Einzeltäter haben, der aus einer ganz persönlichen Motivation gehandelt hat, einen politischen, religiösen oder sonst wie für Dritte alarmierenden Hintergrund haben wir hier nach dem Stand der Ermittlungen nicht.
Well, more than 100 people were killed as series of landslides triggered by heavy rains hit Bangladesh. The landslides hit Rangamati, Bandarban and Chittagong districts in Bangladesh. According to reports, many of the victims belong to the tribal groups who live in makeshift structures along the hills. The casualty figures are expected to rise as many people are missing. Well, another U.S. appeals court has ruled against President Donald Trump's temporary travel ban on people entering the United States from 6 Muslim-majority countries, largely upholding a lower court's decision. The court concluded that the president was required to prove his case for the ban but failed to do so. White House, however, says that it will appeal in the country's Supreme Court.
And this is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. We all know what that means. Protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States.
US President Donald Trump had cited safety from terrorists as the reason behind a revised executive order that limits travel from 6 predominantly Muslim countries. However, there has been another setback to that revised travel ban. A US appeals court ruled against the order, saying it violated immigration legislation. The ruling from the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals is yet another stinging loss from a court that similarly refused to reinstate Trump's original executive order on travel in February.
What democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
However, the dispute is not yet over, with the White House insisting that it will take the matter to the US Supreme Court. It is noteworthy that Trump had issued the revised executive order on 6th of March after the original one signed in January sparked confusion at airports and protests and was struck down by the US courts. The revised 90-day ban was to apply to people from Iran, Libya, Syria, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen. It also called for a 120-day ban on all refugees. The White House continues to insist that the ban is needed for national security purposes.
We're currently reviewing that opinion. I think we can all attest that these are very dangerous times, and we need every available tool at our disposal to prevent terrorists from entering the United States and committing acts of bloodshed and violence. We continue to be confident that the President's executive order to protect this country is fully lawful and ultimately will be upheld by the Supreme Court.
The latest court's order is a further legal setback for the president's efforts to get the ban he promised his supporters during the election campaign. The revised travel ban was earlier also blocked by federal judges in Hawaii and Maryland in separate rulings just hours before it was due to come into force. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at some more developments from across the globe in Global Buzz. Chinese media blamed a Korean preacher for the murder of 2 of its nationals by ISIS militants. It said South Korean missionaries misguided them into preaching Christianity in a region influenced by radical Islam. The state media has also criticized Indian and Western media for exaggerating the impact of the murders on China-Pakistan relations. China and Panama signed a joint communique in Beijing on establishing ambassadorial relations from today. According to communique, Panama has severed diplomatic relations with Taiwan and will not have official relations or official exchanges with it. Typhoon Merbok spared Hong Kong and moved towards the southern Chinese province of Guangdong. Gales and heavy rains followed a landfall in the Dapeng Peninsula on Monday. Merbok was later reduced ahead of landfall, but rainfall is expected to continue in southern China. About 15 people are missing after a 7-story building collapsed in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The occupants were asked to leave after the building developed cracks before it completely came down. The incident took place in a suburb known as Pipeline. Business tycoon Vijay Mallya on Tuesday claimed that he has enough evidence to plead his case as he appeared before the Westminster Magistrates' Court in London for his extradition case hearing. The owner of Kingfisher Airlines arrived for the hearing in court after a number of other extradition cases on schedule for the day. Britain's Crown Prosecution Service will present the case in court on the final date of hearing. The UK court will represent on behalf of the Indian authorities. Mallya was arrested by Scotland Yard in April and has since been out on bail, which was further extended until December 4th, also tentatively fixed as the final date of hearing in the case. Mallya claimed that no loans were diverted anywhere.
You can keep dreaming about £1 billion, provided you have facts, right, to justify your question. Right? You don't know the facts. So don't ask irrelevant questions.
Well, here's a roundup of some sports news now in Sports Beat. Indian skipper Virat Kohli has retained the top spot in the latest ICC ODI rankings for batsmen released on Tuesday. Kohli, who had entered the tournament with just 22 points, regained the top spot thanks to his unbeaten knocks of 81 and 76 against Pakistan and South Africa. Indian opener Shikhar Dhawan is the only other Indian in the top 10. Rohit Sharma and former captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni are at 13th and 14th place respectively. Three-time World Cup finalists England take on Pakistan in the Champions Trophy semi-final on Wednesday. The match will be played in Cardiff in Wales. England beat Pakistan 4-1 in the bilateral ODI series last year at home. Upbeat after beating Sri Lanka on Monday, Pakistani skipper Sarfraz Ahmed said that the team is feeling positive going into the match. Real Madrid star Cristiano Ronaldo has been accused of a €14.7 million tax evasion through offshore companies. The Portuguese footballer is accused of 4 crimes against the public treasury between 2011 and 2014, involving a tax fraud of $16.5 million. Prosecutors accuse the 32-year-old Portugal forward of evading tax via 2 companies based in the British Virgin Islands and Ireland. Well, that's it on this newscast. Good night.